evening, and in the news this week, it's Saturday the 19th of February, just past 6 p.m, and of course we've all just gone through yesterday and earlier today some nasty winds. Hopefully you've all survived, but of course Storm Eustace is in the news this week, with fences and trees blown down around the area, rough seas hitting the coastline, and the winds at Portland Bill hitting 90 miles an hour, the second highest reading in the country. Schools were shut, rubbish collection suspended, and all sorts of other services affected. Rail suspended, etc., and that's gone on to be affected throughout today as well, with many services not returning to normal. Many areas suffered power cuts, and some were not due to be reconnected until earlier this afternoon. Hopefully now those are all reconnected and back on power. The Grade 2 Riviera Hotel at Bowley's Cove suffered serious damage when the ballroom roof collapsed. The roof then led on to damage the main water supply to the hotel. And it was supposed to be a busy weekend for them this weekend, with a popular Northern Soul event happening, one of their busiest weekends of the year. So hopefully they've managed to resolve that issue. Amongst many roads that were blocked by fallen trees were the A37 at Grimstone, the A352 at Broadmain, Bridport Road at Dorchester, Redbridge Road Crossways, Radipole Park Drive Weymouth, and Binkley's Road Weymouth, which was closed, and the A354 at Wyke due to a hanging branch for a period of time. And also in Weymouth, a tree came down at the junction of Alexandra Road and Hanover Road, so very, very affected. Hopefully we're starting to get to grips with those, and hopefully the winds won't come back so bad as they were on Friday for us. Moving on then, recycling bins have been installed at Weymouth Town Council's Prom Cafe. In a bid to make Weymouth a cleaner and greener place to live, work and visit, new recycling facilities are being trialled at the Prom Cafe. Products that will be collected and recycled from the cafe include compostable waste such as tea bags, as well as cans, plastic bottles and cards, glass bottles and drinks cartons. The sign above the recycling station will show how much each waste has been recycled each week. The council also use vegware products in their cafes for cups and lids on takeaway drinks, cutlery and some other food packaging, which are all compostable, reducing single-use plastics as far as possible. It's hoped that the measures will lead to increased recycling rates at the cafe, and supported by Weymouth Town Council's policy to reduce single-use plastics across all of its operations. Councillor David Harris, who's the spokesman on the council's climate and ecological emergency works, said introducing these colourful bins will help to increase the amount of waste that can be recycled from the cafe. To help prevent plastic pollution in our beautiful town, we felt it was important to remove or replace single-use plastics across the council's daily operations and services. Compostable waste from the cafe will also be taken to Weymouth Town Council's community grow space at Tumbledown. Councillor Harris added, compostable waste will be shredded at Tumbledown. Once the waste is broken down, it will be used as compost on the land to grow fruit and vegetables sold through our community veg box scheme. So the benefits are huge. Now, the trial at the Prom Cafe, if successful, will be extended to the Beach Cafe kiosk at Brunswick Terrace. So we look out to see whether actually anything happens on that, and whether it's well supported and positive feedback from the community as well. I'm sure there will be. Sticking with Weymouth Town Council, the council's advisory full council meeting this week saw a number of decisions being made for the benefit of the town. Councillors agreed a return to face-to-face meetings in the council chamber for committees, but agreed that the full council meetings will remain online for the time being. Weymouth could also be set to be the host a major outdoor arts event in the autumn, thanks to funding from the Town Council Initiatives budget. £10,000 was agreed to support an outdoor arts event in September. Railings on a section of the seafront of Weymouth, which have been exposed to the elements over time, are due to be replaced, and £15,000 has been earmarked to carry out that work, which will improve the attractiveness of the resort for the benefit of the wider community and visitors to the town. Excuse me. Plans also to relocate the plant nursery from Lynch Lane to Tumbledown Farm Community Grow Space were also discussed as the lease for the current site is due to end in 2024. And they reported that transferring the asset to Tumbletown will help to reduce the overall carbon footprint of the nursery and help to provide people accessing Tumbledown with valuable opportunities to learn more about horticulture. A detailed business case will now be prepared before a final decision is made. And Lodmore Country Park, Parsons Road allotments, Pinemore allotments and Sandsford Gardens are to be formally transferred now from Dorset Council to Weymouth Town Council. And finally, it was reported a storeroom on Lennox Street, which is owned by the council but is no longer needed, is to be sold off and the funds to be used for the benefit of the town. And of course, they also reminded people that there is a vacancy for a town councillor in the Westham West Ward, and there will be an election on the 7th of April. So if you're interested in standing as a local councillor, do get in touch with the town council. I'm sure they'll be happy to explain the role of a town councillor and what you might be letting yourself in for. But of course, at the end of the day, it'll be down to the electorate to decide who is voted in to represent their community. Now, turning to Ferry Bridge, plans to refurbish the Ferry Bridge boatyard and Billy Winter's restaurant will now not go ahead. The plans for the refurbishment of the boatyard have this week been turned down following the earlier refusal some months ago for the plans for Billy Winter's to revamp. The owners said that the plans would have improved the appearance of the area and would have provided improved facilities with a new gym, office and boatyard workshop, which have also been set more lower than the current building. So it was not so much of an impact as the existing buildings, which have previously been described as an eyesore. Portland Town Council had supported the proposals and 8 letters of support had also been received from the community by Dorset Council. But Weymouth Civic Society had objected to the footprint of the new building, which would have been 4 times greater than there presently. And that's basically because the building would have been much lower and more spread at ground level than obviously extending up into the airspace and more visible. However, Dorset Council's planning officers were not convinced by the arguments in favour of the scheme and gave 6 reasons for recommending rejection of the scheme. Now turning to Dorset Council. Residents across the whole of Dorset will now be able to nominate local important buildings, structures, designed landscapes, sites and places to be considered on a new local heritage list. The idea is to make it easy for everyone to nominate and celebrate the heritage that is important to their local area. Dorset's economy relies on its historic towns, seaside resorts, villages and landscapes to draw hundreds of thousands of tourists here every year. And the heritage is a big part of what makes our county so special. This is a joint project between Dorset Council and the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole councils, using a grant of £70,000 from the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. The local heritage list will provide a free, publicly accessible record of non-designated heritage assets, whose conservation will then be materially considered in planning decisions. Land use consultants working on behalf of the councils will consider the public nominations using a set of criteria to create a baseline local heritage list for each authority. These will be regularly updated with new additions in the future, with the records of all assets being added to the Dorset Historic Environment Record. To find out more information about submitting a nomination, the assessment criteria and examples, you can visit the Dorset Council website, and the specific page is www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/local list. Now that list is open for 8 weeks for nominations to be made. Turning to Dorset Police, a Weymouth man has been jailed after he threatened another teenager with an air pistol before punching him. Declan Watkins, aged 18, of Corporation Road, Weymouth, was sentenced to 12 months in prison at Bournemouth Crown Court on Monday the 14th of February, after admitting offences of possessing an imitation firearm with the intent to cause fear of violence and assault at an earlier hearing. In the early hours of Friday the 17th of September 21, the defendant and 2 other male teenagers went round to an address in Louvier Road at Littermore. They were involved in a dispute with 2 further male teenagers who were present at the property. Watkins produced what appeared to be a black handgun and ordered his victim to lie down. When he refused, the defendant punched him to the nose and continued to point the weapon at the victim's head. Watkins was later located and addressed in Weymouth shortly after the incident. The defendant was arrested and officers found a rucksack at the address which contained a CO2-powered air pistol capable of firing ball bearings. Detective Constable Kate Rhodes of Weymouth CID said, "Thanks to the swift response of armed and local officers on the night, Declan Watkins was quickly located and arrested and the air pistol was recovered." Dorset Police will not tolerate intimidating and violent behaviour of this nature, and the court concluded that only a custodial sentence was appropriate. I hope that this sends a clear message to other young people considering this type of behaviour. Families, carers and education settings and communities are being asked for their thoughts on laying the right foundation so Dorset's children have the best opportunities to thrive. Through an online survey, Dorset Council wants people to think about the skills preschool-aged children need to learn so that they are ready socially, physically and intellectually to start school. One of the main aims of the survey is to prioritise a set of statements showing what are considered to be the most important skills and knowledge children need when they enter school. Councillor Andrew Parry said, "We all have a role to play in giving children the best start, so we want to hear from people from all walks of life on what they think children should be able to do before they go to school. This consultation will bring together views and help us define how we want children to thrive and be ready for school. It will also help us to ensure we have the right services to meet the needs of children at this crucial stage in their development." The Council also wants to use feedback gained through the survey to help it better define what is meant by the term school readiness. All responses will be anonymous unless you choose to provide your email address to be part of any future conversation. The deadline for the survey is 31st of March. It takes about 15 minutes to complete. All views and opinions will be collated to help Dorset Council produce a clear definition that can then be widely shared. So if you want to take part in that survey, it can be found at www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/school-readiness-survey. So there it is again, www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/school-readiness-survey. Now, also with Dorset Council still, Dorset Council has been awarded £500,000 to spearhead a new pilot project to look at ways of boosting mobile digital coverage. Joining forces with partners in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole and Hampshire County Councils, this new Wessex Digital Infrastructure Accelerator scheme will examine how online mapping technology can help speed up the rollout of connectivity. The successful funding bid was led by Dorset Council and is one of 8 pilot projects to receive a share of the government's £4 million Digital Connectivity Infrastructure Accelerator Fund. Why do they make these names so long and difficult to say? The Digital Connectivity Infrastructure Accelerator Fund, that's the one. It will build on the platform already developed by the award-winning 5G Rural Dorset team, which has looked at how using publicly owned buildings and equipment can be used to encourage mobile operators to speed up coverage and reduce costs. The project will identify how street furniture, such as CCTV poles and road signs, can be used to improve 4G and 5G mobile coverage. Rolling out seamless 5G requires a larger number of smaller sites to place kit on to meet the surging demand for connectivity. And mapping and identifying different types of equipment the 3 councils own will demonstrate how local authorities can play an integral role in improving wireless coverage. In time, it could mean faster rollout on connectivity and coverage and make rural areas more attractive to mobile operators. The 12-month project is due to start this March. Its findings will feed into the government's research programme and inform future policy on how local authorities might manage existing equipment for future mobile connectivity rollout. Royal Manor Theatre on Portland have reported a tremendous turnout for their pantomime, Alice in Portland. That's really good news. They have some excellent events coming up, starting with Yes on March the 18th, a funny dramatic musical of sorts, chronicling the community spirit of striking dock workers on the Clyde, with some fab musical numbers and hard-hitting drama from Townsend Productions. This is not to be missed. Further on in May, they have a special presentation of the featured documentary Lawrence After Arabia, where the film is to be screened and will be followed by a question and answer session from the director and producer. Lawrence After Arabia is on May the 9th. Do look at their website for more information. And then to see out May, they welcome back some of their live music and film on May the 21st. And finally, they are reminding people that they are always on the lookout for new members and helpers. So if you fancy seeing what the theatre stuff is all about, acting, backstage, front of house, or simply helping with the upkeep of their venue there on Portland, do contact them on their Facebook page. Just search for Royal Manor Theatre. And finally, in the headlines tonight, a number of Weymouth businesses have been recognised for their outstanding offer in the Dorset Tourism Awards. It's the 9th year celebrating excellence, innovation and resilience of business. Pubs, cafes, attractions, activity providers and restaurants were recognised alongside accommodation providers in 23 individual categories. Winners included many new entrants to the awards alongside several past winners continuing to be recognised. And here's a list of some of those in Weymouth that have got awards. In Caravan Camping and Caravanning Park of the Year, a bronze award went to Higher Moor Farm Campsite Weymouth. For Casual Dining and Restaurant, silver went to Nikita Weymouth and bronze to Shillim's Indian Restaurant Weymouth. Holiday Park of the Year, bronze went to Waterside Holiday Park and Spa. Large Hotel of the Year went to Moonfleet Manor Hotel. Resilience and Innovation Award went to Weymouth Bay Rib Charter, Weymouth. Small Visitor Attraction of the Year, Northfort, Weymouth. Bed and Breakfast and Guest House of the Year, silver to St John's Guest House, Weymouth. And highly commended to Channel View Guest House, Weymouth. Casual Dining Award, a Gold Award went to Fish and Fritz in Weymouth. And Restaurant of the Year, Gold went to Al Molo, Weymouth. And Commended went to Shalim's Indian Restaurant, Weymouth. So well done to all of those that got those awards in the Dorset Tourism Awards this year. Now, in our first story this week, Janet Hall is looking at a particular project which is currently underway in fair trade shops across the country. And she's going to tell us what's happening at the Weymouth Fair Trade Shop. And there is a challenge for the shops to sell 90 kilograms of rice. And that rice, the money sold from selling that rice, will go into educating the youngsters in the country where it comes from. But we'll hear more about that from Janet now.
If you go down to the Bridge Fair Trade Shop between February the 21st and March the 6th, you are sure of a big surprise. The windows, which are normally filled with a variety of lovely things, are filled with bags of rice. Between those dates, the shop is taking part in the 90 kilogram rice challenge. In this country, we take our education for granted. But in Malawi, a farmer needs to sell 90 kilograms of rice to be able to send a child to secondary school for a year. So, rice can change a life, one bag at a time. The Fair Trade Shop has purchased 45 kilograms of brown and 45 kilograms of white Kilombero rice at £3 for a kilogram bag. You can buy your rice at All Saints and St Edmund's churches on Sunday, February the 20th and 27th and March the 6th. Or you can come into the shop and buy it there. This little video shows the need to support this project perfectly. So please do support by buying at least one bag of rice. What's more, it will be delicious. Bye for now.
There we go, and that's one way by purchasing fair trade products, and at this time rice in particular, you can support the country and the people where it comes from. And of course that is one of the benefits of fair trade products, whether it's in the fair trade shop itself, whether you're buying them online or in some of our normal supermarkets. They are fairly traded, and more of the money goes back to those local communities that produce the product. Now, I'm sure, like me, some of you will have at home a subscription to Netflix. It's one of those providers of online films and digital content and media. Now, for our second piece tonight, we're going over to Lydia, who's going to tell us about a new documentary awards scheme from Netflix, which they've just been putting out to the media this week. And we hope to hear more about this in future weeks. And that's because some of the documentaries sound incredibly interesting. And I'm in conversation with Netflix to see whether we've got the opportunity to share some of those with you future weeks. So we'll report back on that. But for now, Lydia's going to tell us about the scheme and some of those who have been awarded money to produce documentaries.
This week, as big lovers of documentaries ourselves at Wyke Regis TV, we were pleased to receive information from Netflix on their UK Documentary Talent Fund. Netflix has launched 10 short documentaries created by recipients of the Documentary Talent Fund. The filmmakers from across the UK received £40,000 in financing to create their own documentary short film, answering the brief, "Britain's Not Boring and Here's a Story." The films were showcased at a premiere event in London this week, in the UK's first ever TikTok live lineup, available to Netflix's 21.9 million TikTok followers. And what an interesting lineup it is. Here is just a taster of a few. Bea Cabello, the detective and the dog thief. Every 4 hours a pet in Britain is stolen. We'll follow the hunt for the missing pets. From the former homicide detective tasked with finding them and the owners left distraught to the thief making 6 figures a year. Divya Kate Shetty, the Bee Whisperer. Bee Whisperer is a film about community, belonging and migration through one man and his bees. Jacob Lancaster and Saoirse Bacon, Seal and the City. As London's oldest fish market faces closure, its only hope is a seal called Sammy who has been visiting the market for 20 years. Nio Anya and E. Brethnick, Tegan, a young black woman with cerebral palsy is how the world categorizes Tegan Vincent Cook. What we discover is her talent and drive as an equestrian, matched with unbridled dedication to reach the 2024 Paralympics. Tavi Tiffany Agama, Women of the Market, introducing the markets of London and the entrepreneurial women that operate within them. Trading, chattering, flattering and most importantly earning. These are the women of the market. Throughout the year, the teams took part in Netflix-hosted workshops covering all aspects of production including legal, creative, HR, production and finance. They were supported by a mentorship program that gave each team a strong network of industry figures to guide them throughout the filmmaking process. The winners incorporated a range of filmmaking experiences from locations across the UK, including filmmakers from Northern Ireland, Scotland, Manchester, London, Bristol, Gloucestershire, and Liverpool. The films will drop on Netflix's YouTube channel, Still Watching, on Sunday the 20th of February at 2 p.m. We hope in later weeks to come back to these documentaries and if we can, share some excerpts with you. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you, Lydia, and as we say, we do hope to share some more about those documentaries with you because it sounds very interesting, and it's great that organisations like Netflix do support some of our young talent because they, of course, are our producers and our cameramen and camera ladies and writers of the future. So good to hear what's happening in that field. And now it's that time in the programme where we see what the weather has in hold for us the rest of this weekend. We know what we've gone through. Aidan McGibbon from the Met Office hopefully is going to give us some better news on what the rest of the weekend and the week ahead has for us. So over to Aidan in the Met Office studio.
Hello again. Storm Eunice and its most powerful winds will gradually come down through Friday night. More wet and windy weather is expected this weekend, but not on the same scale as Eunice. Then, into Saturday night, quite quickly, another weather system approaches, this bringing a spell of rain and then increasing winds as its tightening isobars approach northern parts of the UK, although it will be increasingly windy up and down the country. It's following a very different track to Eunice, and its biggest impacts will be across northern parts of the UK compared to southern areas. Something a little quieter briefly on Saturday evening, some clear spells, but then quite quickly, just after temperatures drop away, a band of rain moves in, turning increasingly wet in the north and the west, the heaviest rain over northern and western hills. And we start off Sunday with temperatures rising, following a touch of frost early in the night, 9s and 10s in the south, 3 to 9 further north, but increasingly windy, cloudy, and in some places very soggy. The more persistent rain pushes into central and then southern parts of England during Sunday itself. It's replaced by showers for Scotland and Northern Ireland. And again, colder air pushes south, so those showers will be falling as rain, sleet and hail at lower levels, snow over the hills. A wet and windy day then for many, particularly for England and Wales, where that rain becomes more persistent in many places into the afternoon. The wettest weather for North Wales, North West England. Scotland and Northern Ireland, blustery showers, but it's later in the day on Sunday that the winds pick up more significantly, and there's the risk of 50-60 mile-per-hour wind gusts in the north, with 70 or 80 possible in exposed coastal or hilly locations. And so those winds could very well cause impacts, especially for northern parts of the country, not welcome following the passage of Eunice. It will be mild, southwesterly winds blowing in mild air for the south, 13 Celsius, but increasingly cold for the north as those showers turn more wintry. Stay up to date. We may update these warnings as we get closer to Sunday. And of course, there's more unsettled weather to come over the next few days. And you'll want to follow the updates by following us on social media. Bye-bye.
Thank you there, Aidan. And unfortunately, not good news there. Looks like we have got strong winds still to come down on the south coast here. So let's see what the local weather widget is telling us. And here it is. It doesn't actually mention the winds, fortunately, not to put us off. But looks like we've got some sunny spells. We've got some rain. But as Aidan said there, staying a lot milder. But watch out for that wind in the next 24 hours and the week ahead. Now, turning to traffic and travel this week, obviously on the railways and on some of the roads there's been major disruption. First of all, we'll talk about roadworks though. Planned roadworks this week, Portland Road, that will continue up to the 4th of March. Traffic lights there are in use on the Beach Road. Buxton Road, still two-way traffic lights until 25th of February. At times. Wessex Water are working in Longfield Road, Portland Road, Newstead Road and Cleveland Road. SGN or Southern Gas Networks in Linmore Road, Coombe Road, Blenheim Road and Preston Road. A new one, Gas Transportation Company are working in Nottington Lane. As regards train travel, the best advice currently, what with the weather affecting train services and the reduced timetables, is to seek the latest information before travel. You can do that on Journey Check, we've mentioned for the last few weeks. So for Great Western, it's journeycheck.com/Great Western Railway. And for South Western Railways, it's journeycheck.com/SWR. And that will give you the latest information on what trains are running and latest arrival and departure times, etc. Moving to what's on. Some things coming up at Weymouth Pavilion this week. On 23rd of February, Milton Jones. I'm quite a keen fan of Milton Jones. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go, but he's well worth a visit if there are tickets left. I suspect those tickets will have gone. 25th of February, The Sound of Springsteen. 26th of February, an audience with Harry Redknapp. Do look at the Pavilion website for other events there, weymouthpavilion.com, or give the box office a ring on 01305 783 225. Knowth Fort has got a lot on at the moment. Currently they've got their top secret half-term spy mission on for children. That's up to the 27th of February. March 19th and 20th they've got their science festival. April the 9th to the 16th they've got Easter activities at the Knowth. Dorset Arts Week's May the 21st to the 29th. And the Platinum Jubilee celebrations the 2nd to the 5th of June. Of course, Queen's Diamond Jubilee is over that weekend of the 2nd of June to 5th of June. We will be sharing with you soon the events happening in Wyke Regis. If you want us to promote your event, if you want us to come along and speak to you at your event or do some video to promote it in advance, do drop us a line at news@wykeregis.tv. We'll be happy to come along and talk to you about what you're planning and to share that with the local community. So that's the What's On section. Now we have a new film to review with you this week. There's been a couple of updates on new films this week. And this week's film is from the Oscar-nominated visionary filmmaker Baz Luhrmann. Comes from Warner Brother Pictures, and it's a drama called Elvis, starring Austin Butler and Oscar winner Tom Hanks. The film explores the life and music of Elvis Presley, played by Austin Butler, seen through the prism of his complicated relationship with his enigmatic manager, Colonel Tom Parker, who's played by Tom Hanks. The story delves into the complex dynamic between Presley and Parker spanning over 20 years, from Presley's rise to fame to his unprecedented stardom, against the backdrop of the evolving cultural landscape and loss of innocence in America. Central to that journey is one of the most significant and influential people in Elvis's life, who is Priscilla Presley, who's played by Olivia de Jong. Elvis will be released nationwide on the 24th of June 2022, and it comes from Warner Brother Pictures. And here it is, a preview for you, especially on Wyke Regis TV, ahead of all other channels. Here's a preview of Elvis, the movie.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
Let's don't let a good thing die.
Are you born with destiny? Or does it just come knocking at your door?
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Give him a warm hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Get a haircut, buttercup.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
Way
destiny. I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley. Are you ready to fly?
I'm ready. Ready to fly.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
Where's it try not to move around so much during the tape?
I can't move, I can't sing. Some people wanted to put me in jail the way I was moving.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but you're a famous white boy.
The way he sings is God-given, so there can't be nothing wrong with it.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis.
That's all right for you.
Tragedy, but it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us.
My darling, I've hungered for your touch.
Reverend once told me, when things are too dangerous to say, sing.
Time goes by
I'm gonna be 40 soon, and nobody's gonna remember me.
and do so much.
I need to get back to who I really am.
Still more.
And who are you, Elvis? I just gotta be making the most of this thing while I can. This can all be over in a flash.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity. The greatest show on earth.
Elvis has left the building.
There we go. That looks a fantastic film coming up in June this year. Elvis from Warner Brothers. So if you like the music of Elvis and you want to learn more about the story, that's certainly one to look out for. Well, there we go. We've come to the end of another programme. They come round quick and they go quick when we're on air broadcasting for you. Just a reminder then that regular services at All Saints Church tomorrow at 8 o'clock and 9:30. The 9:30 service will be live streamed, and St Edmund's Church at 11 o'clock. All, of course, weather permitting, and hoping that those winds don't blow too hard. And don't forget, tonight, not affected by the weather, unless we lose the power in the next 30 minutes or so, is our quiz programme, which goes live at 7:30, the quiz, but the streams will be up from 7:15. And if you're stuck indoors and you'd normally be out because of the weather, or you're worried about the weather, then do join us tonight for our quiz. It's a free quiz. It's there for everybody, and all are welcome. And we will be live from 7:30 for our quiz tonight, and would love for you to join us. And of course, if you've got any stories, events, or news for us in the week ahead for our programme next week, do drop us a line at news@White TV. Until next Saturday at 6 o'clock, good night.